So in this video, I'm going to be doing something a little different. I'm going to work on the two tractors that recently let me down. They left me stranded in the middle of the backyard, and I'm going to go through them real quick, say what's wrong with them, and then we're going to work on them and actually get them running again. So the SS16 is the more major repair. So I was driving along, and it started running on one cylinder, and then at that point wouldn't run at all. And then as I was trying to get it running again, it blew the front spark plug out. And this seems like a common issue on these Onins, is the cylinder head just strips out. So I gotta switch out the cylinder head on that side. When I had the air cleaner apart, I noticed that there is a screw missing, and I kind of got a pretty good idea where that went. I'm thinking, since there doesn't have any compression on this back cylinder, that I'm guessing that wedged between the valve, holding the valve open. So now it has no compression in the front and the back, meaning it just turns over just like nothing. So, and the SS15 will run a little bit sometimes and then stop and then possibly start really hard if it starts. And then I got noticing, I think I know why. This fuel filter is super gross, because this fuel tank must be gross inside. Never actually looked. Yeah, that's gross. So I should have cleaned that better before I put that in this tractor. This tractor I did like almost a year ago. I think I restored this one. So I think some of that stuff went in the fuel filter. So I'm gonna get this carburetor off and we'll get that cleaned out. So of course I just got the carburetor taken off the SS15. I didn't record taking the carburetor off because it was in kind of a tricky spot. So we're gonna about find out together what the inside of this thing looks like, because that screw is coming out. Alright, time to see how gross the inside should be. It should actually be pretty clean as far as fuel goes, because I've been using ethanol-free gas for the past probably 2 years now. So it shouldn't have that kind of... There's this little brass little spout that goes down in there, and that can be a pain to sometimes get out. Yeah, this thing. So it looks a little gross. I'm actually starting to wonder if I ever had this apart now. That looks really bad. Maybe I didn't have it apart. You'd think I would have. But I'm going to just go on disassembling this, and I'm going to just blow the whole thing out with compressed air, just so we have the most chance of this actually working. Looks like this does come out, this little spout, because it looks like I can get a screwdriver in there and it comes out like a jet. I had to go grab an assortment of screwdrivers, because these sometimes can be a bit tricky if they even come out. This one, I don't think it's going to come out. It looks like someone attempted at it already and it's kind of messed up. That's fine if I don't get that out. Nope, not gonna happen. Okay, that's not worth wrecking it more than it already is. So off camera I got everything blown out. I'm still not happy with the inside of this. I blew it out and I kind of scraped it out with some screwdrivers. I don't have a wire brush that would fit in there. It doesn't really seem like any more of that is gonna come off. So let's just go with it being fine. I mean, it was running like that. So worst case, I have to take this apart and clean it again. So we'll put this back together and just hope for the best for now. So I'm going to go get this put on and clean out the fuel tank and change out that fuel filter, and we'll try starting it. I took the fuel tank off to clean it. Look at all this junk in the fuel line. Yeah, I can see why the carburetor was having problems. Wow, that's bad. So I'm going to get this tank cleaned and put it back on the tractor, and we'll try starting it. Alright, so I just got everything hooked up. Now it's time to see if, first of all, this engine runs now, and if my new booster has enough power to start one of these without another battery attached. So it used to always start with the throttle down and a little bit of choke. I think the flywheel shroud is rubbing. So it looks like that was a success. I'm going to drive this around for 10 minutes or so and then come back and I'll give you an update if it still runs or not, or it leaves me stranded again. So I made it back. I put it under a cover because I don't want any filth and dust on that tractor, because I'm going to put these back where they belong on the other side of the building at the same time. So the SS16, I already got the engine kind of kicked sideways. I didn't want to unhook everything. So I should get pretty good access to both sides. Realizing this side doesn't even have the shroud, it's missing. So that's weird, that must have fell off. So I went looking in my parts hoard and I found these two really nice cylinder heads and I cleaned them up, so they should work pretty good. Spark plugs look a little crummy, but I'm going to just go with them and see if it runs fine with those. People ask me all the time, hey, would you sell this part? Would you sell this part? I always say I don't sell parts, because this is the reason why. You never know when you're going to need something, because things just suddenly fail. So I'm going to get you set up on the tripod camera. Alright, so this is the front cylinder. The camera zoomed way in. So front cylinder here, it's kind of crooked and sideways just because of how I have the engine sitting. I'm not going to use the impact for this just because I don't want to break anything on this engine. I just want to do it by hand. So I'm going to carefully get this stuff taken apart and see what the cylinder looks like. And then replace the cylinder. Oh, I'm going to have to use the impact for these. That's unfortunate. Nozzle, I'm hoping I don't wreck the gasket. And I wrecked the gasket. So I got it cleaned up. You can definitely tell there was something in here at one time pounding around, because this piston's got a bunch of dents on it, but I'm sure it was already like that. So I did a pretty good job, it looks like, cleaning this back in 2020. So now I'm gotta take this back one off, which I can't get the impact in there. So I'm gonna have to just refine it with a normal wrench. Alright, so sorry for the dumb camera angle. I gotta wedge the camera between the battery and the dash. So I've got, that should work. Got a couple inches here to work with, so it's be kind of tricky. Wow, I really torqued those down good. So I got all the bolts out. Now we're gonna find out together just how bad I wrecked this gasket. Yeah, it's wrecked pretty bad. Actually, I think I can reuse this gasket. It's stuck to the engine and not so much on the head, which this is very clean, and there's a lot of gas. Like, this really smells like gas. It's a good thing cameras don't have smell-o-vision, because you'd be smelling a lot of gas right now. And I can already see the problem. I'm going to switch over to my other camera so you can see it. So I found the problem. Look at that. There's my air cleaner bolt. This is like the third time this has happened to me. And then, of course, I bought a few tractors that's had it. So now I got to get that out, and hopefully the threads on it are still good, because I got to put that back in the air cleaner, and then we'll get the engine put back together. So this is what's going to be a little tricky now, is getting this valve open enough so I can get that little screw out the easy way. So to do that, I wrapped some paper towel on a screwdriver, and I'm going to stick that in there to hold the valve open further than what it's supposed to. You guys are not going to be able to see this, I'm sorry. And I'm gonna have to get a pliers and grab it. That's on the bottom. Screws towards the bottom, so I'm gonna have to pry the valve open and grab that with the pliers at the same time. Well, it wasn't easy, but I got the screw out. I ended up having to use my vacuum cleaner, and I vacuumed it out as I was prying it open because I couldn't get the screwdriver in there at the same time. But it's out and it's in one piece, not gouged up or anything, so I can put that back in the air filter or air cleaner and reuse it. And hopefully that doesn't happen again, because this is annoying. Decided to leave the front off until I got to the back one, just in case something was going on in the front that I didn't see. So I got my front cylinder head that I had off of who knows what engine, and we're gonna put this back together. My torque settings I'm using on here is like 2 or 3 Ooga Doogas. So I got the engine bolted back down. I got the rear cylinder head on. I didn't put the shroud back on the front just because I wanted to see if it actually runs first. I hooked the battery up, so it should be ready to actually start now. Well, that started better than it ever has. That's the thing with these Onins, is it's one thing after the next. The carburetor's flooding, so now I get to take that apart. Up together, it's definitely full, and that float feels heavier than it should. So I'm pretty sure that these little pontoons filled up with gas. I'm gonna pull this apart. Didn't think I'd be taking this carburetor apart in this video. Got a 2-in-1 here. Got the SS15 and now the SS16. I don't know if you guys can hear that. There's definitely gas inside of this. So you know what? I'm gonna see what I've got upstairs and replace this with another one, because there's definitely gas inside there. So I decided to take you guys on the journey in the parts department and see if we can find some parts carburetors to take float from. Now I have a fairly complete Onin somewhere up here. Right here. I think this one has a brand new float in it. So I can take that one. And then there's this one, which looks like it would be a good one. I'm going to take this with me. And then there's this one, which I can't see inside it. But this is one I think I've had for a while, so I just about tell you already that float's missing. So it looks like I've got these two. I'm going to take this one down, and if this one has a foam float, I'm going to use this one. That other one has a brand new brass float that I bought for the 500,000, which still doesn't run, by the way. I want to get that one running soon, so maybe I'll make a video on that. It's going to be the same kind of deal with that Onin as this one would be my guess. So as you've seen by that, it does run. It's not perfect, but it's a lot better than it was. The extra sound that you're hearing is because this muffler was starting to fall off on this side. And it's kind of leaning, and it's leaking exhaust. And then I got noticing there's no clamp on any of the fuel line, but right down here, where it attaches into the carburetor, I bypassed the original fuel pump and just bolted the plate directly to it. And it's leaking where the fuel line goes in, so I just got to pull that off and put a clamp on there because it was starting to drip gas down, so I shut the engine off before that became a bigger issue than it already is. So I'm going to end this video right here. It's already long enough. From here, I just got to put some clamps on the fuel line, drive the tractor around, just double check everything's okay. I think everything's fine. It runs about the same as it used to. And then put that shroud back together. I'll put the hood back on, and then maybe I'll go over and pressure wash it, because this is really, really filthy there. I wish I would have did that ahead of time, but I didn't even look down there. So yeah, that is it for this video. Hope you enjoyed it. Something a little bit different than normal. And thanks for watching, and more projects coming soon.